Hey guys, welcome back to Money is Blind podcast. I'm your host Prasoon. This is the show where legally blind, visually impaired, and blind persons can learn how to become successful entrepreneurs and become wealthy instead of chasing behind ordinary jobs. Because I am legally blind and I've been doing it for 5 years. And today I have a special episode for you guys. We have Sam with us. Sam from the Blind Life YouTube channel. You can also visit theblindlife.net. That's his website. He's a popular guy when it comes to assistive technology. He's an expert. He has more than 760 videos on YouTube. His YouTube channel has now more than 60,000 subscribers, and his videos are very useful when it comes to assistive technology, accessibility, the latest innovations and technology which helps visually impaired persons to move ahead in their life. Let's welcome Sam from The Blind Life.
Everything working
I was,
this morning?
it's a new platform. I didn't
Yeah.
want to mess this up, so I was trying this new software.
Yeah, I've used StreamYard before. It's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. So you are familiar with it. I was
Yeah.
wondering if you're facing any problems or not. So
No.
that's great. That's great. Just a second. Let me press the record button and make sure that it is right.
Sure.
Yeah, it's recording now. All right. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me the second opportunity. It was like a blunder. How I don't know how I made that mistake, but it happened, and I'm glad that it happened when I was interviewing you because otherwise I would have lost one great interview.
Wow. That's no problem. These things
Yeah,
happen, especially when you're working with the technology and stuff. You always
yeah,
expect it to go perfectly smoothly, but it never does.
yeah. You're right. I think you often use Zoom, or is there any other software that you use for when you're recording interviews?
No, I've only ever used Zoom. I did see a
Okay.
commercial. There's a new one out. I don't recall what the name of it is, but it's specifically for recording interviews, doing interviews. StreamYard's great, but it's more for, I think it's more designed to stream on
Uh,
YouTube and Twitch and stuff, but it works really well for bringing in guests and things. But there's this
yeah.
new one that's specifically for recording interviews and video calls and things.
And Zoom, I have used Zoom, but I found it a little bit difficult to join Zoom meetings. We have to enter the code, so that becomes a bit difficult.
Yeah, it can be.
So, are you ready? Can we start?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So first, I have some rapid fire like questions.
Okay.
Let's don't get scared. It's almost the same questions, but I just twisted it a little bit, a different angle. So I'll be giving you two options for every question, and you have to pick one out of the two
Okay.
options, and do that as fast as you can.
Oh, goodness. All right.
So there are only six rapid fire questions, and the first one is Android phone versus iPhone.
I knew that was going to be one of the questions.
but
That's a tough one because I use both. I've got both sitting right there.
you have to pick one.
I have to pick one. I'd say for productivity, iPhone.
Okay, right. YouTube versus TikTok.
Oh, I'm a diehard YouTube fan. Although TikTok is a lot of fun.
Okay, right. Windows computer and Mac.
That's easy for me. It's Windows.
Right. Traveling and video editing.
Oh, I would much prefer traveling over video editing.
Okay. And one-to-one coaching for someone who approaches you for getting advice on assistive technology. Is it one-to-one coaching or do you prefer one-to-many coaching?
I prefer one-to-one. Yeah, it's much more personal and it's easier in the long run, I think.
All right. Okay. That's it. That's the end of rapid fire questions.
That wasn't too
So,
bad.
yeah, you did good. You have experience with my questions, so
Yeah.
it's a plus point. So that's it. The next question. This one is from the last interview, same one, but I changed it a little bit. What is
Sure.
this one thing that you wished you had started earlier in your business life as a content creator?
One thing I wish I had started earlier, I think focusing on the channel as a business. At the beginning and for several years, it was just something fun to do. It was just a hobby,
Mm.
which is perfectly fine. But if I tell people all the time, if you're wanting to grow a channel or your TikTok or your
Mm.
podcast or anything like that, you're wanting to grow it into something that will get you income, make you some money, then you really need to think of it as a job and approach it as a job. Now, it doesn't have to be, people kind of think, well, I don't want to do that because jobs aren't fun. But, it's totally fun. It's a fun job. But you have to think about it as far as, making a schedule. You can't just willy nilly kind of put out videos or podcasts whenever you want to. Your
Yeah.
audience prefers a schedule, so get on a schedule. Think about the quality. If you're making videos like myself and you've been doing it in your bedroom, sitting on your bed with your smartphone, well, let's think
Mm.
about cleaning up the place, maybe getting better lighting. Think about using a microphone. The camera's probably
Mm.
okay. Better lighting would help the camera quality, but think about making it a little bit more professional, and then
Mm.
also think about marketing. And marketing doesn't have to cost money. You can cross-platform market yourself. So sharing your
Yeah.
content on multiple other social media outlets to drive traffic back to your primary thing, whatever that is. So start thinking about that. I wish I had thought about that earlier, I think.
Yeah. So I think you started your journey like 10 years ago. What was the turning point when you realized that you had to change, you had to see content creation and your presence in social media as a job, like a business? Oh, what was the that moment
I don't know. I can't remember exactly when it was,
becomes a
but there
real
was
business?
yeah, there was a point where the channel was starting to get popular and
Mm.
companies, I was making more content about assistive technology because that's not exactly where I started, but and these tech companies started to reach out to me, or they were interested in working with me.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think I was getting like free product from tech
Mm.
companies and maybe getting paid here and there. And then some people wanted me to do a presentation and a speaking gig. And I think that's kind of where I was like, wow, this could actually turn into something where I could help to support the family. And so that's when I
Yeah.
started thinking about it more, I think, more seriously as a potential business.
Right. Okay. So was that recently, or was that like 5 or 6 years into your career as a content creator?
Yeah, it was probably about 4 or 5 years into it.
Okay.
Probably, yeah, closer to 5 years, really.
Halfway.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
and that's a lot of things people don't realize. They think that, they're going to make a couple videos or a couple TikToks and they're going to hit it big and become super popular. And no, it's
Mm.
not. For that happens very rarely, but for most of us, it's a very slow process. And
Yeah.
so it takes a long time to grow, especially when you're making
Right.
content for the blind and visually impaired community. So if you expect that and plan for that, then you're going to be fine. But a lot of people think it's going to happen right away, and then they get discouraged, and then they stop making content. And now you got to keep making it. You got to stick with it, and eventually you will get there. But it's not going to be fast.
Yeah. That's it. So the next question: what is the best assistive technology according to you? You are an assistive technology expert. You have reviewed many gadgets, and all the latest assistive technology comes to you for a review. You get
Yeah.
to know all the technology firsthand. So, what is the best one, which you think is going to be the most helpful for visually impaired persons?
Yeah, so it's a tricky question because, assistive technology and technology in general is very task dependent, meaning that, what somebody uses to watch a movie is
Mm.
not going to be the same thing that they are going to use necessarily to, you know, cook their dinner. So in assistive technology, something that you might use for reading isn't necessarily the same thing that you're going to use for navigating to the store. There might be some overlap, but probably not the same thing. So it's hard to say what is the best, because what's the best tool for reading is going to be different than what's the best tool for watching television. But I'd say overall, if you kind of try to take all the different categories into mind, I think the best overall device has got to be the smartphone these days, because they just do so many different things, and they give access to so many different areas for the blind and the visually impaired. I can use different apps for navigation. I can use apps for reading. I can use apps for watching television. I can use apps for communicating, connecting with people to get assistance. They can see through the camera, and they can tell me, they can give me the help that I need. And a lot of these apps and these features are free. So that's fantastic. So I'd say overall, I say it all the time, smartphones are amazing. They do a lot of things really, really well, but they don't do any one thing perfectly. So, I can use my smartphone to take a picture of a sign and it will read it out loud to me, or even use the magnifier, the camera, to magnify the sign so I can read it. And it does it pretty well, but it's not going to do it as well as a portable video magnifier would do that, or as well as the Orcam does it, because these are devices that are built specifically for that task. But like I said, just overall, I'd say the smartphone is probably the best thing we have right now.
Okay. And you prefer iPhones over Android?
No. So it's very task or goal dependent. If I'm using
it's better to carry both of them.
If you can, absolutely, yes. Now, not everybody's lucky enough to be able to do that. Yeah. I do that because I use both for my job and for training. I work with people who have an iPhone, and I need to be able to train on the iPhone, but then I might get someone that has an Android, and I need to know how to be able to train on that as well. But for me personally, my philosophy is, if that you need a screen reader, then the iPhone is what you want. Or if you're not very familiar with mobile operating systems, the iPhone is what you want, because it's easier to use. But if you are still utilizing some vision, and you need magnification, and you need contrast and good color contrast, I say Android is better, because I think Android has a better screen magnifier, because it's customizable. You can set the text super big. You can make big icons on your screen, big clocks and all that. You can't do that kind of stuff. You can do it to a point on iPhone, but not nearly as much as you can on Android. So iPhone still works better with a screen reader, but for visual stuff, I recommend Android. Catch me being a favorite to one or the other.
Okay. So in order to get our most of our tasks done, I agree with you. I think smartphones, the other way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question, can you recommend 3 visually impaired or blind influencers in your life who has helped you or motivated you or inspired you to go through this path?
Yeah, a good friend of mine, her name is Casey Greer. She used to have a channel called How Casey Sees It, and but I think the name has changed to just her name, Casey Greer. She was living in New York for a while. Now she's, I believe, in Tennessee here in the States. She has a podcast with a good friend of hers named Cassandra Menendez, who their podcast is called Rare with Flair, because they have rare vision impairments and rare conditions. And so it's called Rare with Flair, and they're just
That's a good
great podcast. But she put out a series on the white cane many years ago. And she talked about her love-hate relationship with the white cane, and how she hated the white cane, but the white cane did so much for her and helped her out in so many different situations. And that really motivated me. I resonated a lot with what she was saying. I could totally relate with what she was saying. And so that's really motivated me to start using my cane more. And since then, I've been a pretty much just about full-time cane user. Anytime I'm out walking around, I've got a cane with me. And because, like she said, I find the benefits do outweigh the negatives that come with using a cane. So she definitely helped me out. I've got a good friend named Derek Daniel. He has a YouTube channel called Life After Sight Loss, and he has a podcast also called Life After Sight Loss Radio. He deals a lot with the emotional side of vision loss. So, people, especially if they're older, losing vision later in life, they struggle a lot with it, with the emotions of losing vision. And so he helps with that. His YouTube channel helps with that, and his podcast does too. And so he's been awesome. I get a lot of great tips from him. I think also, I don't watch a ton of her stuff necessarily, but Molly Burke, of course, she's probably the most famous blind person on YouTube right now. She's unique because she's really grown her channel by making all kinds of content, not just for the blind community, but she makes like fashion videos and beauty makeup videos and all of this. But
she does a lot of collaboration videos.
Tons of collaboration with the big YouTubers, and that's Shane Dawson and all these guys. So that's how she's really grown her channel. But at the same time, she's a role model to a lot of people in the fact that she gets out there and she does it. She's visually impaired. She has a team that helps out, but still she's out there living her best blind life, you could say. And so that motivates a lot of people. And so that's a great one as well.
All right. That's great. So Derek, I think I have listened to his podcast. I'm not sure whether his podcast was called Labcast earlier.
I'm not sure.
LAB for Life After Blindness and Podcasts Cast. No?
Life After Blindness is a different. He's Life After Sight Loss.
Right. Okay.
But there is a Life After Blindness podcast out there. You're right. Or channel or something.
I have listened to it. So I'm not sure. I don't remember the name of the host. Okay. Thank you, Sam, for recommending all those motivators. So next up, this one I wished I could cut it out, but there are many questions that I get from persons who work with me. So it's regarding a cure for eye problems, vision loss. Initially, I was also diagnosed with Stargardt's disease. I know you are also diagnosed with Stargardt's disease. It's a rare type of macular degeneration. So if there is a cure which they find, and if it is affordable and if it is really promising, will you do it?
So that's a tough question because, well, I would first say that there's not to disappoint anybody, but there's probably never going to be a cure, because a cure implies that you have something and you can take something that is going to completely fix it, make it go away. With our, retinal damage, there's nothing that's going to fix it and make it go away. You can repair probably some of it, but the damage is already done. But there's more likely going to be a treatment or a process that can prevent it from ever happening in the first place. So it's really going to be for people in the future. You're diagnosed with it and they can do this treatment and you will not get any worse than you currently are. But I mean, in the hypothetical world that there is a cure and I could do something and it would fix it, I don't know. I've been living with Stargardt's for 36 years now. Everybody says that you should never, your disability is not your identity, but actually it is. For me, it is. I am Sam, the visually impaired guy, and I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that. My vision impairment has brought me a lot of great things in my life. It's frustrating, yes, but I've also learned how to live with it, and so it's not that frustrating anymore. I have little things throughout the day that bug me, but for the most part, I'm perfectly happy living as a blind person. And I think because of all the amazing things that it has personally given me, I don't think I would. I don't think I would, especially since we're going to have driverless cars very soon. So that's going to solve that problem.
Way more.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I would say is I would love to be able to drive, but if I can just jump into a driverless car and it takes me wherever I want to go
Mhm.
anyway, I got nothing. No, I think I'd be fine.
Mm. I saw one of your shots in YouTube. You were on the driver's seat, and this policeman was uh, walking to you, and he was praying to God.
Yeah,
It was really funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are fun videos to make.
Yeah. Do you come up with shots idea randomly, or is it things that happen in your real life?
All of the above. It's just an idea I have. I still have several ideas that I haven't even done yet, or it's a funny take on something that has happened in my life that I could.
Hmm.
We with blindness, we run into just dumb moments. We have dumb things that happen to us all the time,
Yeah.
and so I look for ways to kind of turn that into something funny or sarcastic. I'm a bit of a sarcastic person. And
Hmm.
so, but then the other thing is sometimes I will see something that someone else has made, because that video
Hmm.
I saw another creator make it, and I thought, well, that would be very funny if this was a blind person doing it, and so that inspired me. So I get inspiration from
Hmm.
all types of places.
Yeah. I was reading this book. It's called Steal the Art. It's by Austin Cleo. And he says that we should watch other creators, we should copy them. It's not stealing.
Right?
Even if it is stealing, it is a new content. It has our own ideas, and we are trying to make it a little more better. So all the content creators, they should do this.
Yeah,
That's what he says in his book. It's a wonderful book. It's a short one as well, but I really liked it. And it
yeah.
reminded me.
Yeah, when I was in high school, when I was going through like
Mhm.
art class, I was going to be an artist when I was younger. I thought that's what I would do for a living,
Mhm.
and everybody always said you're not supposed to copy. You don't copy other drawings or other paintings.
Yeah.
Um, but I had an art teacher that said no, you can absolutely copy it. You can
Yeah.
copy it
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
get better at drawing or painting. You can copy it to get inspired,
Yeah.
but like you said, you absolutely don't copy it and then claim it as your own work,
Yeah.
because that's wrong. But
Yeah.
copying and tracing, these are all ways to practice getting better. And like you said, with content creation, I mean, I've seen other content creators, even in the same space of assistive technology. I've watched
Mhm.
their videos and it looks like one of my videos. Even like the
Mhm.
transitions and the title animation, it's all very similar to mine. So it's
Mhm.
clear that they were inspired by my videos and
Mhm.
were kind of emulating that, and that's
Mhm.
fine. It's you can copy and you can do the same thing. Eventually
Yeah.
you'll find your own style by doing that and by changing things here and there, and you'll kind of land on your own style. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I agree with you. I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So now that you are an entrepreneur, you are solving a problem faced by many visually impaired persons all over the world. You might have faced many challenges in your life, in your entrepreneurial journey. You might have also gone through some failures. Can you tell us about this time, this one failure which you remember the most, and those experience, how you overcame that failure?
Well, yeah, a lot of I have very small failures all the time. Almost
Mm.
daily, I have small failures. A lot of it is access.
Yeah,
Having my
access.
own business. Yeah, having my own
Yeah.
business, I have to fill out a lot of paperwork for the government here in the U.S. every
Hmm.
year, and so a lot of it is not accessible. So that's it's difficult. I have to kind of get help and all of this, and it's little frustrations like that. But I'd say a big one that I had probably was about 5 years into my channel. So when I started my channel, it was called The Blind Spot, and it was an homage. The name was an homage to my vision impairment because I don't have any central vision, so I have a really big blind spot.
Hmm.
And it was also meant to represent a place on YouTube where people could come and learn about blindness. So a literal a spot where they could come and learn about blindness. And that was the name for many years, and it was great, and I loved it. And then I received a letter from a lawyer saying that the name was very similar to the name of a company up in New York, here in the US,
Mm-hmm.
and that they had their name trademarked and I needed to change my name. And
No.
so that was really my first experience with that kind of thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when I created my name for my YouTube channel, it was just a YouTube channel. Once again, I didn't have any really plans of growing it
Mm-hmm.
into a business. So I did a little bit of a a search for the name to see if anybody else was using it, and I didn't find anything, so I went ahead and used it. But
Yeah.
turns out this company did, and it was a little bit different. The name was a little bit different, but it was close enough that they wanted me to change it because of their trademark. And I
Mm-hmm.
looked into it. I could have probably fought it in court, but it would have cost me a lot of money, and I still would have lost probably.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to change the name, and it was really hard at the time. I was really upset about it. I made a couple videos about it. If you go on my channel and you search name change or something like that, you'll find the videos where I
Mm-hmm.
talked about it. And I was really upset because the blind spot was kind of my baby, and I had been raising it up for several years, and it was growing and it was getting more popular. And then now I thought I had to change the name, and I was really upset. But
Yeah.
after and I decided to change it to the Blind Life because I thought, in hindsight, looking back at it, I realized that it better represented what the channel had become about, and it made more sense. And although it was very difficult at the time, it ended up being a good thing in the long run. And I'm very happy about how it all turned out. So, you could say it was a failure, but it was really more a difficult time that I went through and came out
Yeah.
on the other end a much better place, I think.
And so every failure that we face, we have to learn some lessons and make sure that the same type of failures doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So, have you trademarked your this name?
I have. It's trademarked and my logo's trademarked, so I'm not going to run
Yeah,
into any problems like that again. And in fact,
yeah,
I actually had to there was a very nice young lady on Facebook,
mm-hmm.
and she had a Facebook page called The Blind Life.
Really?
And yeah, and so I hated it, but I had to reach out to her, and I tried to be very polite about it and said, I love what you're doing. It's fantastic. I encourage you to keep going, but you got to change the name, unfortunately, because
Mm.
I have it trademarked and all of that, and I don't want there to be any kind of confusion. And she was super cool. She changed the name, and it ended up being good. But so I at least I didn't send her a letter from a lawyer like I
Yeah,
got. I tried to be really nice about it.
yeah. So that's how we overcome problems and make sure that it doesn't happen in the future.
Yeah, yeah. But I talked to my daughter about this, and I
Mm-hmm.
was watching a TED talk once years ago. I don't even remember what it was about necessarily, but they were talking about lobsters, and
Mm-hmm.
lobsters, as lobsters grow, their shells don't grow. So
Mm-hmm.
after a point, they start to feel uncomfortable, and they know that it's time to shed their shell and form a new one because they've outgrown it. So they crawl down underneath a rock somewhere where it's safe, and they shed their protective shell. And after a couple of days, the new one forms, and it's bigger, and they feel better, and they go out and they're good to go again. And they were using that as an analogy for life, because every now and then we start to feel uncomfortable, we start to feel pressure, and we start to run into hard times and adversity. But
Yeah.
once we make it through that, after we come out, we have grown and we're better than we were before because of that
Mm.
hard time. And so that's something I try to remember anytime I'm going through a rough time, or I'm having I'm coming up on a video deadline and I'm like starting to panic and stress out. I know it's going to be okay. Once I get through it, everything will be fine.
Yeah. That's a good analogy as well.
Yeah.
And I like lobsters.
They're tasty.
Yeah, exactly. So the next question. Now that you are a content creator, you travel a lot. You said you have many forms to fill. there are many tasks we need to do ourselves, which we cannot delegate to other persons. And we know that this task has to be done. There's no way around it. So, what is this one task in your life, in your business life right now, which you don't like doing, but you still know you have to do it?
Oh, there's there's a lot of things.
It's not your personal life. It's something about entrepreneurship, something about business, because there are many persons who are trying to become a businessman, and
Hmm.
they know it's not going to be an easy journey.
No, no, and there are a lot of little things that you have to do all the time,
Hmm.
things that repeat that are annoying little menial
Yeah.
tasks, but you have to do them, and it makes it much more difficult when you're throwing low vision. For me, with what I do, I have to, if I'm working with a client and at the end of
Hmm.
the job, I have to submit an invoice. And so I have to fill out the invoice. And luckily, I have my systems set up with my giant monitor and my accessible software on my computer. And I'm doing it
Hmm.
on Microsoft Word, which is very accessible. I've got these systems set up so that I can be successful at doing this task, but I still don't
Hmm.
like to do the task. It's annoying paperwork, but at the same time, I send that off in order to make money. So it's something that's important that I need to do, and I want to do it. I just don't like doing it at the time. Things like that. I also, since I'm on social media, if I make a video, I have to, and I want to promote that video, I have to share it on everything: Facebook,
Hmm.
Twitter, Instagram. I have to then turn around and make little short videos that I can put on TikTok and Instagram Reels. And all of this is important, but it's all annoying stuff that you have to do. And then
Hmm.
once you post it onto like Facebook or Twitter, you have to keep track of it and monitor that and answer
Hmm.
questions if anybody has, or comments. And YouTube, I make a video, and then a couple days later I'll go back in and I'll read through the comments and I'll answer those comments. And
Hmm.
once again, I have it all set up with my system, with my computer and everything, or the accessibility on my phone, that I can do all of this. And although I do enjoy reading and answering comments, it's still kind of an annoying task that I have to. Oh, today I've got to go in and I've got to go back and look at all these posts and answering comments and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So, I enjoy the process of interacting with the community through those comments and emails and things like that. But having to do
Hmm.
it every single day kind of gets annoying after a while.
Yeah. But there are things that keeps motivating us, as you mentioned earlier. Those
Hmm.
likes and all the kind words that we get, good comments,
Yeah.
and is there anything else that keeps you moving forward apart
Yeah.
from the? Yeah.
No, it just, like you said, it's the interactions from the community. It's
Hmm.
reading emails and comments, people talking about how helpful the videos have been and how they love learning about these new things. That definitely keeps me going. When I go to conferences or speaking events and people come up and they want to take a picture with me, it's all those really cool interactions that, like, oh, I got to keep going because people really enjoy this. Or,
Hmm.
like I just did a video a couple weeks ago about new assistive technology. And for some reason, that video just kind of blew up. It got a ton of views. I think it's like 15,000 views already. So I see that and I think, oh, okay, people are really interested in the latest technology. So that means I need to do some more research and get some more information and make some more videos
Hmm.
about this, because this seems to be what people are really interested in. So that
Hmm.
motivates me to keep working harder to put out more content like that for the community.
Yeah. The kind of innovations that are taking place in assistive technology, I think they are coming in a fast pace. In the last 10 years or so, I think the leaps that these new innovations have brought into a visually impaired person's life, they were actually not expected. So,
Hmm.
with augmented reality and virtual reality and the new artificial intelligence booming up in over the internet, I agree with you. I think we are mostly into latest technology because this is technology. I think technology is the only one thing that is going to take us away from the problem that we are facing every time we open our eyes.
Mhm.
So that is one reason why I believe most of the visually impaired and blind persons are running behind latest technologies. So of course, maybe that's one reason why your that video is getting so many views that
Yeah,
you mentioned.
I think you're absolutely correct. I think technology is going to be what bridges the gap between the sighted and the
Yeah.
unsighted, and makes everything accessible and on equal playing field or an equal level. So I think you're right. I think that's why people are excited about it. And I think you're also onto it that AI is going to be the next big
Yeah, it's
frontier for
moving up
assistive
like
technology.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Several.
sometimes I think only because of the reason that we are running behind technology, we are updating our knowledge so much so that we are on a higher side when we compare with sighted persons. They
Mhm.
don't know about ChatGPT. They don't know about augmented reality and virtual reality, but we do. So technology, I am a huge believer in technology, and I think it is going to be the difference.
Mhm.
So the next question, we have many habits. We have developed many good habits over the last couple of years. As an entrepreneur or as a content creator, you might have left out some bad habits in your life and created some new good habits. So can you tell me one good habit that has made the maximum positive impact in your life?
Good habits.
Yeah.
For me and what I do, I think learning how to better talk to people has really helped out tremendously. Most of the time I'm sitting in this room by myself talking to a camera, but and there's no one in here, obviously. But I still have to speak as if I'm standing in a room full of people because I'm talking
Hmm.
to, potentially thousands of people out there watching. So developing good speaking habits and good techniques and things like that has been tremendously helpful because I do, as the channel continues to grow, I do get offers to do speaking engagements. I did like 2 presentations in Missouri a couple weeks ago, talking to huge crowds, and so because of that, because of all the talking and the practice and stuff I've done, I'm totally fine with that. I have no problem standing up in front of a crowd and, hey everybody, it's great to be here, and being very, warm and outgoing to them and not feeling nervous about a situation like that. And then it helps in just smaller situations. I go to the grocery store and I have to interact with the person checking out
Hmm.
all of my food and everything. A lot of people, especially younger people these days, they get nervous. They don't want to talk to these people, but it doesn't bother me. I'm very, I like being friendly and outgoing with people like that. So I think developing good speaking habits and presenting and public speaking has been a tremendously good habit for me over
Okay.
the long run.
So you've been practicing speaking. It's a bit difficult, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I mean, it just like anything, it comes with experience over time. When
Hmm.
I first started making my videos, I maybe was a little stiff and not so relaxed. And just the more you do it, I mean, I have 800 videos on my channel. Plus, I had a channel before that where I think we got up to like 10,000 subscribers on that channel. So I had made videos for about 2 years prior to starting my own channel, and so you just get more comfortable with it, and then eventually you just transition into speaking in front of real people. It's exactly the same, really, if you think about it. And then the fact that I'm visually impaired and I can't see all those people staring at me, that does help too.
What are the those new habits which has not just limited your skills or not just limited your development in your business life, but has just crossed over to your personal life, into your health and other aspects of your life only because you became a content creator, because you started a YouTube channel?
Good habits.
Yeah.
One is I'm always doing something. I'm never idle, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always either sitting here editing a video. I've got some editing work to do after we get off our our call today.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to be going out and recording a video downtown today. So
Okay.
it's, in my personal life, I'm not just sitting around doing nothing. I'm actually always engaged doing something. And I think that's good, especially, a lot of people think I'm much younger than I really am because I think I have a little bit of an energetic
Yeah.
uh, personality, I guess. And I think
Yeah,
once again,
you're
I
right.
think it's because I'm constantly talking to people, talking to a crowd. I'm constantly doing something. The mind is constantly engaged, or I'm also up, moving around a lot. I walk a lot because I have to go out and record videos in different
Hmm.
places. I travel a lot because of YouTube, and so it keeps me healthy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's a good one. This is another good question that I picked from Timothy Ferris. Tim Ferris, I'm a huge fan of him. Read all his books.
No.
So, in all the interviews that he conducts, he asks his guests about this one thing which they can put up on a billboard so that their audience can see this billboard and get this message loud and clear. So that's how I modified the question. The question is, if you have an email list of 1 million visually impaired persons and you just have one email to send them for one time, what will you write in that email?
I would say I would kind of echo the motto of the channel is that it's going to be okay. As I said before, a lot of people, I make a lot of videos for people who are new to vision loss and they're unsure about how to do it, and they're emotional and they're upset and they think that their life is over and they're never going to be able to do the things that they want to do and all of this crazy stuff. And I tell them, number one, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. You just have to learn this new way to live your life. Once you learn it and once you get comfortable with it, sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want to do. Obviously within reason. You're not going to be a brain surgeon, obviously, until we have
Yeah.
robots that can do it for us. But for the most part, you're going to be able to do whatever you want to do. You just have to
Mm.
learn this new way to do it. And once you do, all kinds of opportunities open up. So that's probably what I would put on the billboard is it's going to be okay. You just gotta take some time and learn how to live this new life.
Most of the visually impaired persons have this firm belief that they won't be able to do tasks which a sighted person can do easily, but they don't realize that it may not be easy, but it is still doable.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah. So great message. I would also recommend you to put a link to your channel in the end of that email and ask them to subscribe.
Oh, that's definitely going to be on there.
So, are you creating an email list or a newsletter? Do you have a newsletter? I couldn't find one on your website.
No, no,
No.
I don't do a newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same reason people have asked me to do podcasts before.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have time. I'm already pretty slammed because I work at a nonprofit also, and then doing
Mm-hmm.
YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all that. It really takes up pretty much all the time. Maybe someday I
Yeah.
I do have a bit of an email list. Maybe I need to hire somebody to take care of that for me. That's the other
Many.
problem with being an entrepreneur is you get to the
Yeah.
point where you can't do everything yourself. So you got to
Yeah.
start sourcing out some of this work.
Yeah. And it frightens us.
Hmm.
When we try to do that, it really scares the hell out of us.
Yes, because you don't
We
want to give
this
up the control.
Yeah, and we'll
Yeah.
be worried about the end product. How are they going to do it?
Right.
They are not going to do it the way I do. I faced it. I am still doing it, but there are things that I don't like to give away the control. there are many tasks which I don't like to give, but I know I have to give away with it one day, and I'm learning to do it. Still learning all the day.
Yeah.
The next question. Next, about the future of Blind Life. Where do you see the Blind Life website, the YouTube channel, and all the social media handles in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I hope to grow the channel even more. I mean, it's on track to do that. So that's kind
Is
of
there any number that you have in your mind?
Oh, I
Numbers?
would love to hit 100,000. I will hit the 100,000 within the next couple of years. I mean, obviously, I'd love to have a million subscribers and all of that, but
Yeah.
with my particular content, unless I go viral with something, I don't think I'll get that far. Maybe I need to start doing some collabs with some other famous YouTubers,
Mhm.
but also the blind life in general. I'm really enjoying doing speaking engagements. I've got a couple lined up later on this year. I enjoy going to these conferences and checking out all the new amazing technology. I'm still going to be going to some more later on. I'm hoping to get out to Germany next year for Site City. That's Germany's big assistive technology conference.
Okay.
I don't think I'll make it this year. It's like next month. So, but next year I would love to do that as well. And
Mhm.
start working more internationally and take my family along with me. That would be great as well. But it's just continue growing, continue trying to
Sure.
reach more people, and spread the message of the blind life.
Mhm. If you have plans to visit India, you're always welcome to my home. It's
Awesome. I was going to say there seems to be a great need for assistive technology in India. I have people
yeah.
reach out all the time saying they don't have access to a lot of the things that we do here in the States.
Because the kind of support that we get from our government and difference in economical standards, that's a huge difference when we compare US with India.
Hmm.
It's the most expensive in the world when you buy it from in India.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So assistive technology, we don't even think about owning a CCTV because it's that expensive. But
Hmm.
still, we try to get things done with whatever little technology that we have. We
Right.
try to get things done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think you started traveling and you started speaking at conferences and events because of the Blind Life YouTube channel. So, how is that transformation from being just a content creator to a public speaker to an influencer, someone who travels?
It was pretty natural. I mean, as I said, once again, I'm sitting here essentially doing public speaking each time I record a video. So it wasn't
Mm,
too difficult to transition into actually public speaking. The hardest part is preparing for the presentations, because
mm,
you have to prepare a lot more than you do for making a video, honestly.
yeah,
So that was the difficult part, but I'm getting much better at that each time. And then also utilizing different types of technology to give a presentation, using as you're doing there, using a screen reader to read off your talking points
yeah,
and that sort of thing. Here, when I'm making a video on YouTube, I know what I want to talk about, and I just present the information. I don't follow a script or anything. So, but standing up presenting to a crowd, you definitely have to. And so that preparation for that was a little
mm,
bit tricky to get used to. But as far as traveling, my parents got divorced when I was very young. So I spent a lot of my life traveling back and forth on airplanes and buses and things like that. So that
mm,
wasn't too difficult. And I have my systems set up for traveling, as a VIP, certain things that I do. And I actually enjoy the process of traveling through airports and trains and things like that. So that wasn't too difficult either. There's a lot of opportunity when it comes to public speaking and presenting at conferences and things like that. A lot more in-person exposure So
Mhm.
if there's anybody out there that's considering doing that, I would definitely recommend giving a shot.
What about in the future? Are there any plans to expand Blind Life to other countries and make it a global phenomenon? Because
I'm open to anything. We don't have any
yeah.
plans right now, but I would love to. I've been invited to visit other countries.
Mhm.
Just earlier this year at CSUN, I was talking to a bunch of people representing from Australia, and they want
Mhm.
me to come out there and do some presentations. So I would love to. I'd love to kind of address the inaccessibility of assistive technology in other countries, just like they're in India. I would love to,
Mhm.
you know, assistive technology is so amazingly helpful that it needs to be accessible to everyone. And how can we solve that problem? So I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe in the future we'll be able to.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to that, and I wish you all the success in your future. Blind Life has been a turning point in my life as well, because I've been watching all these videos for the last 5 6 years. In the middle of that, I just missed when I was launching my business, and then I came back to it. I launched a Money is Blind podcast just recently, and since then, the advancements in assistive technology, I get all the latest news from your channel, and that's a huge, huge help because the videos that you make, they are so informative, and I just can't grasp it or believe it how you do it without a script. Whenever I try to create a video without a script, I forget 4 or 5 out of 10 points that I wanted to share in that video. Yeah,
Oh, I do
but
too. Don't get me wrong. I forget things all the time too.
yeah, and or when I click the publish button, that's when I realize, oh, I forgot to mention that thing, and I shouldn't make another video on that. And then
Yeah.
I go back and do same kind of video on that topic. Then I changed, and then I started creating scripts and podcast. This is something which is completely different because I do it without any scripts,
Hmm.
and that has been a new thing for me, and it allows me to open up freely
Yeah.
without being constrained by scripts and points, because I'm free to talk and speak whatever comes up into my mind. So
Yeah.
podcast is fun, and I think you should also start your own podcast.
Yeah. Collaborate, especially going to somewhere and collaborating. It would be nice.
Are there any accessible softwares that you would recommend using for other visually impaired persons, which are accessible over the web, and something that you use for your business? Like I use Asana. It is a project management software.
Hmm.
It has an app. I use Apple's Reminder and Notes app. I use it very often because they are very helpful.
Yeah.
Uh, Whenever something pops up into my mind, I habitually forget it. So before I forget it, I just jot it down in the notes, and it'll be there. It
Yeah.
works like my second brain. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I use Notes on Apple on my iPhone as
Hmm.
well. I use Microsoft 365 suite of applications a lot. As I said before, for
Hmm.
Word, or for doing my invoicing, Excel spreadsheets, Outlook, email. They all seem to be pretty accessible. I don't generally have too much issues. And in fact, with Word, Microsoft Word, they even
Hmm.
have the accessibility plugins to where if you're creating a PDF, it'll tell you if certain areas of the PDF are not accessible for screen readers, or if you make a Word document, it'll say, hey, your image doesn't have any alt text associated with it, so you need to change that
Yeah.
so it's accessible. So that's pretty good. Use Google Suite of apps as well, but not nearly as much. My Gmail is my main
Hmm.
email, and I use that for a lot of my email clients. Yeah, nothing. Those are the main things that I use to manage stuff for my business. A lot of the pay, my finances and all that, my wife does. She's my CFO
Yeah.
for the business, so I don't have to deal with any of that, which I'm happy about. And she's not visually impaired, so she doesn't need any kind of accessible software for that. She uses a program called YNAB, YNAB. You need a budget, and she does all the budgeting through that. She loves that app, but it is not accessible. We've tried to use it, and it is the application and the website is not accessible, and we've reported it to the developers, and they're working to fix it. But right now, it is not accessible.
I tried a couple of financing double entry bookkeeping apps, but most of them are not accessible.
Yeah, it's probably
both
tricky.
in iOS and So I outsourced it to my CA, and they're doing it.
Yeah,
and they give me a report in Excel format, which is accessible. So that's it.
Alrighty.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sam, for giving me this opportunity. It was a wonderful interview. It will be really, really helpful for all the audience that we have at Money is Blind podcast, and I think they will get a huge deal of motivation and inspiration from your words, from to dream big, and your key message. Everything is going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, good. I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah. Let me know when it's ready, and I'll share it out as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Perfect. All right, man. Well,
all right.
It was a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you.
You have
Bye-bye.
a good one, and you guys enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah. You too.
So if you want to listen to more useful content like this one, don't forget to subscribe this podcast. You can also find the link to what happened when I tried to interview Sam on the first occasion. I messed it up. You can find the link to that episode in the show notes as well. I'll see you guys in the next episode. For more episodes, you can always visit www.moneyisblind.com. So you guys take care. I'll be talking to you soon. It's me, Prasun, signing off. Bye-bye.